Hey everyone, Fate back with another video. I hope you brought some bug spray because today we're going to be reclaiming Earth from the bug infestation. We're going to roll right into the dungeon for today, which will be Cave of Destruction. This dungeon does utilize a lot of poisons, so I would recommend your healer take a few cleanses, group cleanses for your party. This dungeon is probably the fastest one that you can run out of all the dungeons available in Throne of Liberty right now. With enough DPS, you can kill that last boss before it even does its mechanic. That's how quick this can be. Also, the path is very straightforward. There aren't any like weird turns, so pretty easy and simple. The first boss in this dungeon is going to teach you about the larva mechanic around your neck. So when the boss spawns, it'll just be your standard poison puddles, get out of those, tank and spank. And then throughout the fight, the boss will put these orange larvae around players' necks. And what you can do is those two players can stack up on each other. They'll turn green, and that'll mitigate some of the damage that you'll take when they explode. That's really it. They also do an AoE explosion, so try not to stand with anyone else in the party to minimize the damage the healer needs to heal. Coming into the room with the second boss. Now, if anyone in your group is running a dot kind of build that's like the burns, the poisons, the curses, they're gonna have a tough time in this little room here because you can't use those on these eggs that you need to blow up, like the one in the center here. So the mechanic with this one is you just want to kill these 3 ants with the red tether. That will then allow you to damage the egg in the center, which will then spawn the boss. So this boss is just going to teach you not to stand in the green puddles. That's really it. It's a tank and spank just like the other one. You'll just nuke the boss down and she will place down these puddles of green poison around the room. Just don't stand into that and you'll be fine. At some point she will do her block ability, that purple circle that shrinks. All that does, it pulls you into the center where she is, which kind of puts you into poison puddles. So if you block that properly with Q, you won't get pulled in. But if you do get pulled in, it's not a big deal. You'll maybe get like 1 or 2 stacks of poison, which can be healed through no problem. Honestly, pretty big joke on this boss. The final boss, coming into the room, you'll see 3 pillars around the room with an egg on top. Once you blow each egg up, the boss will spawn in the center, and these platforms will have a mechanic with them later on in the fight. The big mechanic this boss does involves these red and blue electric circles that she will place on the ground, and there are 2 ways to solve them, a cheese way and the legitimate way, which we will cover both. The way you legitimately do this mechanic is you will get either a blue or red electric field on the ground. If you walk into it, you get knocked back and stunned. The way you solve that is you have to kill the ants of the corresponding color. When they die, they will leave a ring on the ground of that color. You have to stand in that for a few seconds. Once you do, you will get a buff with that colored ring, which allows you to pass through that force field and stand on that platform. The cheese way to deal with this mechanic for the boss is this ramp right here. If you run up and go halfway, you will prevent yourself from being knocked back when that egg explodes. If you go all the way up, it will knock you off the platform, and then you kind of have to like fly back on top of it in time. If you don't, the boss will just kill you. So if you stand halfway, wait for the egg at the top to explode, and then walk all the way to the top, you'll avoid that ground AoE, and then you can just walk or fly over to where the ad is and kill that and continue with the fight. So the boss will spawn 2 waves of ads. The first wave you can ignore. The buff that you get from it doesn't last long enough, so you can ignore the first wave. When the second wave comes out, that's the one you want to kill the corresponding color of. 2 things to note here. If you do kill the wrong colored ant and then get that debuff or that colored buff around you, it will override the other one. So if you need a blue circle and you kill a blue ant and then you kill a red ant, it will remove the blue buff and put the red one on there. But it also happens in vice versa, where if you accidentally kill a red ant first and you get that red buff, you can kill a blue one to then put the correct one on yourself. So you can do that. The second thing is those pillars, they're fairly small. They're not the same size as that colored ring around it. They're actually a way smaller little rock in the center. So if you're not paying attention to that and you think that you're on top of it because you're in that ring, you actually aren't. You have to get like pretty close to the center of that. Once you're on it, the boss will raise that platform. You can stay on it, and when it explodes, it'll shoot you up in the air, and that'll actually give you enough elevation to fly to one of those 3 platforms where that ad is on, and you can kill it from there. Honestly, I think this method is easier than the cheese method. And then, like I said before, if you have the DPS, you can actually kill this boss before she even does that mechanic. The second mechanic this boss does is tank specific. She will raise her scythe above her head, make it glow red, and then she'll stun your tank. Every hit preceding this, for about like 2 or 3 hits, will do increased damage to your tank. So keep an eye on them. If they're decently geared and are rotating cooldowns properly, it won't even be an issue. If not, I've seen tanks get chunked for about 50% of their HP per swing, so you just want to keep an eye out for that. The last mechanic is introduced when the boss gets below 50% HP. She will do that larva mechanic where every player in the party gets an orange larva around their neck. There are 2 ways you can solve this mechanic. The first way is everybody stacks up and turns that larva neon green, and then everybody spreads out. That way you're not taking the stacked explosive damage. The second way you can do that, which is a little more involved, all you need is 2 people to stack up on each other. That'll turn their larva into that neon green, and then either both or one of those people can go around eating the orange larva off of the other players. That way only those 2 people will ever actually take that AoE damage, and everybody else will be perfectly fine. And there you have it, Cave of Destruction. As always, this was Fate, and if you did enjoy the content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And for everybody else, thank you and have a wonderful day.